Hi, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show. Today how can I talk about today's show other than it's going to be one that's going to be real informative, but more importantly, we're going to go down the road of entrepreneurship. Not just any type of entrepreneurship, but the brick, the mortar, and the trials, the struggles to be successful. But in a particular business setting, entertainment, radio, broadcasting, what does it take to be great? How do you keep it sustainable? How do you amplify on a frequency that touches everybody? Today on the show, we have a young lady who has done that in a hell of a lot more all over the United States. I'd like to welcome Indiana's own Dinah Lynn Biggs to the show. Did I pronounce that name right?
Yeah, Dinah Lynn Biggs. Yeah.
I had to get it right. That's a powerful name. And Biggs Radio.
All right. What's up, Andre?
What's up? It's hard for me to pronounce people's names when they have actually two names. So it's Dinah Lynn Biggs.
Yes.
Tell the viewers a little bit about Miss Biggs before we get into the questions and answers.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for inviting me. I've seen you around town doing your thing, and I just love what you're doing, and I love how you're moving. But as for me, I'm just a girl from Gary, Indiana, who moved here to Indianapolis, and I've been here over 20 years. Been in the radio game since I was 16, started at the first black-owned record label in the world. Before Motown, before Puff Daddy, I started at VJ Records, owned by Vivian Carter. She's most known for bringing the Beatles to the United States for the very first time on a black-owned record label. Whoa. People don't know about that.
Whoa.
They hide that from history.
Whoa, wait a minute. First black-owned
record label in the world.
How did this come about?
Vivian Carter and her husband got together, cashed in some money, and started a record label up in the Gary, Indiana, Chicago area. She blew up, became the fame for breaking people like Gene Chandler, the Duke of Earl, the Spaniels, all kinds of groups in her career. But most notably, she brought the Beatles to the United States for the very first time. She met them at the plane. She's got credit for being a woman entrepreneur. She later owned a record shop and a radio station in Gary, Indiana, which is where I started my radio career. I used to be a 16-year-old file clerk under VJ Records in Gary. And one day somebody didn't come to work, and she said, put the file clerk on the radio. And I was like, but ma'am, I don't know what I'm doing.
That's opportunity like a mug.
Man, in the right place. She said, say what I say and say it like I say it. And I have been in radio 50 years, August 16th.
Okay, so let's go back a minute. When we talk about Gary, Indiana, we're really talking about what they're known for, the steel industry.
Right.
Chicago, Indiana, that's probably where a lot of people migrated. But we have, when you also talk about Gary, you talk about the most notable figure, which is 2900 Jackson Street.
Yeah.
Did I get it right?
2600.
Jackson Street.
Yeah.
But you don't resonate the Jacksons with that record label. You recognize it with like the Berry Gordy's and stuff. So what actually happened that record label couldn't get such a talent as Michael Jackson when you just said that they bought the Beatles here?
Right. Well, VJ Records is before the Jacksons' time.
Okay.
They were too young. By the time the Jacksons came along, there was Motown.
Okay.
When the Beatles came along and Gene Chandler, Shy Lights, there was no Motown.
Right.
So it was just that it was not the right era for the Jackson. I went to school with them, elementary school. My mom's was their Boy Scout teacher.
This is Black History like crazy. You went to school with the Jacksons?
I went to school. I was in Michael Jackson's class.
Get out of here.
And we in the neighborhood, my mom was the Cub Scout teacher for them, and my brothers played baseball with them. And You know, it was just so odd. They were always singing and dancing, and the kids in the neighborhood thought they were crazy until they showed up on Ed Sullivan.
I remember when it was on Ed Sullivan.
We was like, wait, what? You know, and so I am a liaison to the Jackson family in terms of events that come to Gary.
Well, wait, what was that like with them? Hold on, man. You don't drop the bombshell and then just keep going. Yada, yada. What was that like being, do you have any remembrance of hanging out with them?
Yeah.
Were they, what was it
They're
like?
in my yearbook, kindergarten yearbook. Michael and Marlon, all of them. They're in, you know, we're the same age. The older ones are my other brother's age, but it was like they were just like us. They were kids.
Really?
Yeah. And when they became famous, like now, we're still best of friends. And I do all the shows that come to Gary with their mom. It's like Tito laughs about it now. I remember you on WWCA with Vivian Carter. He used to wake him up every morning. But those are like old memories. Yeah.
The first black record label. Who were some of the individuals that was on that record label?
Oh man.
Will we remember them?
No, they're older. They're before our era.
Okay.
Yeah, way. Most of them are dead.
It's still good for the people to know Black history. Who were some of the people?
Gene Chandler, Duke Earl, Duke
of Earl.
Yeah. VJ. I have the original Beatles record on the VJ record label. And when you read about the Beatles in encyclopedias, it is one line about VJ Records. One line.
How does that make you feel?
When I went to the museum, I was furious. I was furious about it because I actually worked with her. I know the stories about how she went to the airport to pick them up, how they got off the plane and kissed the ground in the United States, coming from where they were coming from. I mean, it was a whole thing, but now they just written her out of history in the VJ record label.
Who exactly was she outside of a pioneer? Like, you knew her personally. Who was she to the viewers that don't know? And how can they not reach out, but how can they understand her? Because evidently history has swept her and her legacy
under the rug. Vivian Carter and her husband, Mr. Bracken, they were two individuals who saw music as a universe. They didn't see it as just one thing. They saw it as a virtual. And most of the music that was on the VJ record label was pop, crossover. It was for everybody. Mm-hmm. That was her vision. When Motown came, it was stereotyped as black music for the most part. And then Puff Daddy comes along and the other record labels. But, you know, the two powerhouses, she just saw it as universal. That's what made it so good.
You mentioned some key figures. You mentioned Puff Daddy.
Yeah.
Bad Boy Records, I think that's what it was called. Mm-hmm. What made Bad Boy Records such a global icon in your eyes? And then on top of that, what made that industry fall?
What made Puff Daddy big in that industry? Because I've been in radio since the 70s, so I followed the whole story. Mm-hmm. What made him good was he was new. He was bringing something new. He was exciting. He had charisma. People attached themselves to that. You know, every few years, you got to get the new person.
Right.
And he was it. When he came with Bad Boy, he was fresh. Everybody gravitated to him, and it just became a phenomenon.
And what was the fallback?
The fallback of it, because it's time for somebody new again. Here we go again. It's the next cycle. It's the cycle of music. You know, then you move on to the next labels. Now you got the 50 Cents and the Dr. Dre's and Snoop Dogg's. You know, it's kind of just moving to the next big thing.
How important, me and you talked about this off camera and at the event we was at with Sid, Uncle Jams. How important is a brand? Because we see a lot of the artists producing a lot of music and so forth, but we talked about this a little off the camera. How important is a brand? And do you think, and especially when you're talking about somebody like P. Diddy and 50 Cent and stuff, I mean, their brands are strong. How important is the brand to music, and what is lacking in the music industry as it relates to the brand?
Well, branding is everything, and branding is free in this world today. Listen to me. It's everything. Branding is everything, and it's free. So if I was an independent artist, you would see me every single day because it doesn't cost me anything. You got to market yourself. Your brand is, and people will see it. I go places now and people see my logo and they know it's me because I hit it every day. I'm not talking about where I went to eat. I'm not talking about who my boyfriend is. I wanted you to know about my radio station. So branding, without that, without social media, you can't make it into today's world. That's just where we are, which is a lot different from 20 years ago.
What do you see that's missing? You attended the meeting. You was on the panel of judges. You see the great artists coming back. You own a radio station that's in Indiana, Chicago, and California. Pretty much, let's be real, it's international. Right. It's global.
We have the Germany affiliate.
Right. Well. So what do you see that's missing?
I think what's missing in most music panels and conferences is sharing the importance of the branding. You could be the best artist there is. I run into it all the time in my travels. I see them everywhere, but nobody knows. What are you doing to promote yourself? It doesn't always cost a lot of money. It's free. All of these platforms out here. Just think, R. Kelly sold music out the trunk of his car, him and Too Short. They sold millions of copies of records out of their car. They branded themselves before it ever hit mainstream radio.
Oh, you're talking about the trunk releases?
Yeah. Yeah, but it's a real thing. I mean,
yeah, I bought many CDs out of
he made $1 million.
Trunk.
R. Kelly used to be in the subway in Chicago, the South Shore subway, selling music, cassettes out of backpack. Made millions before it ever got to radio. That's because they branded themselves. They branded them in their communities, and then you go from there.
You've been in this industry for how many years?
50 years next month.
What's changed in radio?
Woo-wee.
You know I was going there.
I have, I own the slogan, taking you from the 8-track to the latest app. I own that slogan because for me, that's what it is. I was there. Oh my God,
did you say 8-track?
To the latest app.
That big piece of plastic, and if it got caught, you just took it out and cut it and taped it.
Yep. To the 45s, the 78, the LPs, the cassettes, the disc, to the app. I've worked in every aspect. I got a couple gold records along the way. My first one was in the 70s from the Sugar Hill Gang. I was the one that broke Rapper's Delight back in the 70s.
Really?
The forbidden hip-hop music. It was banned at the station I was working for. And they sent a box of records there, and I was the midnight DJ. And they said, don't play it. And you look around and nobody's here. I played Rapper's Delight for the very first time. It became a phenomenon. And then the DJs that break the music get the gold records, which is how I got the gold record.
We talked about this. The fact that the Sugar Hill Gang was played through your hands that allowed you to get this gold record award, they probably never would have been heard of because there were regulations put in place. How do you feel about regulations with conventional radio? I guess I can call it conventional radio, AM, FM, to internet radio. What's your take on that? Having somebody saying you can't play that, but you decided to play it anyway. You could have lost your job.
Well, I could have, and I almost did. I got called into the office the next day because you got to realize hip-hop was forbidden. It was the devil's music. When it came out, it was the devil's music. Those phone lines never stopped ringing. It was the only reason I still had a job. The only reason I still had a job. And then the evolution began, and I was able to walk the walk with it. I've had a first-class FCC license since I was 17 years old.
And what is that for the viewers that don't know?
A first-class FCC license entitles me to work the transmitters and all the terminals for radio. I'm an engineer by trade. Picked it up with radio. So I can go into a radio station. Used to go off at midnight, you turn it back on at 6. So when I would come to the radio stations, I could turn the transmitters on and operate and get them set for broadcast. They did away with that some years ago. You don't have to have that anymore. But in terms of regulations, terrestrial radio has a lot of regulations, whereas internet radio, you have the direct ownership of how you want to do your brand. Worked in terrestrial radio for 30, 40 years. When the pandemic hit, sitting at home, I decided to start my own. I didn't want to hear the same record every 10 minutes. The people who could afford to pay get put at the top of the list. That's just like taking sports out of school. Now they make you pay for sports. So the poor kids can't pay to play. That doesn't mean they're not the best kids.
Mm-hmm.
But the people whose parents can't afford to pay, I think it's a kind of monopoly. But in terms of radio, ownership changes the game completely.
Mm-hmm.
Ownership makes a complete difference. Terrestrial radio and internet radio now are battling. Billboard started counting internet streams in 2022. So any record you play on your internet station has the potential to go on a #1 hit on Billboard. A lot of people look at internet radio as all somebody in their bedroom playing. That is true. There are people in their bedroom with radio stations, but then there are people like you and I that have every license that WTLC has.
Right.
We pay royalties just like anyone else. So they recognize that. My artists cross over the media base all the time, and then some of them show up on Billboard. You got to realize the average artist now is an independent artist. He's out here fighting for his own.
Right.
Just like the regular guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I have people that come to me, the Tito Jacksons, the Gerald Austins, the Commons, want to get their music played because we have a platform that could get them to be on Billboard.
You mentioned that too, and I thought it was really strange because these guys, the Commons, international stars. You mentioned the Jasper from the Isley Brothers.
Chris Jasper.
Yeah, you would think that Alexander O'Neal.
Mm-hmm.
You would think that these guys at their age should have lucrative money, but they're back on tour.
Right.
And their stuff was being played on radio. What has now made them come back to the internet radio versus radio?
Here's the thing. Regular radio stations don't want to hear nothing new by Chris Jasper. He tells me that all the time. Tito Jackson, they send their music over to these stations. They want to play the old hits. But in reality, the money's been made for the artist. So they look for outlets like you and I to help their music. They have money. They're not broke. They're just not on a major record label. I had the Whispers tell me, man, nobody will play our new music. The money's been made for the Whispers.
They need to know I play the Whispers all the time on iambeast radio.
But you know what the Whispers did? They redid their entire music catalog, the Best of the Whispers, redid the whole catalog, got new ISRC codes, and re-released it.
That's pretty smart.
New money. The old money's been made. They spent that already. New money. So they have to fight for themselves just like a local artist does. It's not about the money anymore. It's about whose attention you can get on Spotify. But there are millions of people on Spotify.
Yeah. How do you compete with that? I was going to ask my next question. How do you compete in an industry that's clearly, let's be real, crowded? Like, I think it still goes, you can probably agree with him, I think it still goes back to having a very, very powerful brand.
Right. It goes back to branding, and it goes back to the old state, and you got to have a street team. Remember when you used to have a party, you pass the flyers out? Well, the social media sites is your street team. You got to have people working your street team. You need to get 10 or 15 of your people together, and the older artists, like Otis from The Temptation, I got his new music on my chart. Why is Otis from The Temptation calling me? I can't even wrap my head around it. Well, because he's got to find a way to get his music into the younger people that stream. Older people don't know nothing about streaming.
I hate to tell you this, I didn't even know Otis was still doing music.
He's the only living Temptation.
Really?
Last living Temptation. Yeah.
Really?
But it goes back, you got to have a street team. So what I've done with my radio stations is I've partnered with universities across the country to use their radio majors, and I'm able to give them college credit because I'm properly licensed, for one. So they'll send me their interns over. They do all my marketing. Every time you see something on social media, it don't be me. So they do the marketing piece of it. That's like a street team. Back in the day, you hit the churches, put the flyers on the windshields. So when I wake up in the morning, they hit all the social media sites a couple times a day. Branding. That's the name of the game.
I hope you guys are paying attention because she's giving straight up knowledge right now.
Well, Otis from The Temptation told me he had to get his granddaughter to even show him how to listen to me on the radio. And then I just simply did this even with my own family. You got kids, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, you got to get them money anyway, right?
Yeah.
Buy them cars, shoes, all of that. So if you want me to do anything for you, I need you to work for me. So all my grandkids, young teens in my family, they are on my marketing team. They answer emails, they answer the phones, the radio, so they do all of it.
So
Remotely.
that's why I couldn't contact you. You got to go through 50 different hands
Yeah,
before.
remote. We talked about a buffer earlier, right? You're
Yeah.
the CEO, got to have a buffer.
Yeah. This question is going to sound really crazy, and I know you probably get it all the time. How can radio, conventional radio, and internet radio amplify a young independent artist versus them trying to compete in an oversaturated market when you're dealing with Spotify, Pandora, Apple, and all these other streaming platforms? It sounds lucrative when you think about it, and I guess a lot of them probably wouldn't want to go conventional radio or internet radio because I guess the young kids now are more impressed with likes, subscribes, and getting caught up in the where, how can I say it? It's clearly oversaturated. What's your take on that?
My take on that is you might have 1 million likes and no money. What do you want? You want to be popular or you want to make money? Everybody that I know put money and spend time into their music campaigns. You want to make money. If you don't want to make money, I tell them don't call me because I want to make money and I want to make you money. So how they handle that is, people have different things that they can offer, and people get took a lot. Mm-hmm. Okay, there are people that'll scam you. Say, I'll play your record, give me $2,000, and they really won't. But what you have to do is find somebody by word of mouth, like you and me. Word of mouth, everybody comes to me word of mouth. The Whisperers send people to me. Chris Jasper send people to me because I'm able to prove to them what I can do for them. One, by offering tracking, digital radio tracking. So I like an artist to let me show them that I can play their record very first time. Go sign up here and I'm going to play it for free for once. So you can see that I played at 307 because every time I play it, ching ching.
Yeah.
You get paid. Okay, it's called trust and verify. Once you get the trust of people, they'll just start flooding your doors. I put together a music campaign from my history and learning about radio. I offer a music campaign to artists. I'm able to get your record played in 4 states and other countries at one time. And you have to have a marketing piece to go to it. If you're on Spotify, who's going to stop? It's 1 million people. How do you get people to stop on Spotify, Apple Music, CD Baby to look at you? That's something for real. Mm-hmm. First of all, your album cover can't be in the bathroom. You got to get some snazzy artwork to promote who you are.
It's funny. I just told somebody that I was like, dude, when you're sending me stuff to plug or whatever, remember thousands of people are looking. Even if it's 2 people,
right?
You're creating. That's your image. That's your brand,
right? And the second thing I tell all independent artists is to create at least 3 versions of your song. Create an instrumental, a regular version, and then maybe do a reggae or jazz or something. Because people are looking for what? All kinds of music. I had a nobody. His reggae song picked up 800 hits. He had enough to pay his rent. And he said, I wasn't even promoting that. But people who want to hear reggae or put in reggae, if you come up. Give yourself versatility in the business. It's too broad.
You know who I just heard that did a reggae song and I had no idea? Who? Eddie Murphy.
Really?
It was called Red Light.
Oh, okay.
And it sounds good. Yeah, okay. I was like, I didn't even know he can sing reggae. It is a beautiful song, but it goes to say what you said. He did something different and boom.
He probably wasn't expecting to
wasn't
make
expecting
money.
It. Yeah.
And then the instrumental version. How many of us in radio and podcasts, we use a bed of some music in the background?
All the time.
People call me from TV stations. Got any good things I can put behind my talk because you don't want to be dead air? I mean, make an instrumental version. I use instrumental versions on my radio show all the time. How many spins you get off that? Hard to find, though. Hard to find. Got to use the same old ones over and over. While you're in there producing, get your producer to pull the voice off the track. It's real easy.
What are 3 of the most common mistakes outside of the 3 music that you deal with when you're dealing with young entrepreneurs trying to make it into the game that you see constantly like a domino effect?
Not knowing the business aspect of what they're doing. When they call me and I ask them, do they have an ISRC code, and they say no, that means anybody can steal your music. I see people fighting on Facebook because somebody stole their beats. Well, if you put your beat on Facebook and you don't have it registered with an ISRC code, which is like your barcode at the grocery store, every time it's played, you get paid. If you don't have that, then why are you mad that he got your music? You gave it away.
How much? How? It's still a thing of money. How expensive is it for an artist to get that done?
Any download or streaming platform will make you an ISRC code. You put your music on CD Baby, in order to register it, when you register it, they'll give you the ISRC code.
So it's free, basically.
It's free, basically. When you it may cost, I'm not exactly sure, I'm not on that side, but you get the code once the music is produced and put on the streaming platform. That's the only way they can pay you. The second misconception is that when they set up these streaming platforms, their banking and contact information is not accurate. So they don't know where to send them their money. I deal with that on Spotify and on Sound Exchange. I go to war with them because I fight for the artist. That's my platform. Spotify has like millions of dollars. They was like, we get return checks all the time. We're not going to look for nobody.
Out of sight, out of mind.
So now you mad, they ain't paying me, they robbing me. I had a whole show about it. I mean, 100,000 people on it. Yeah, they got my daddy's money. Anybody's call up there and give them some new contact information? They said it's very simple.
Yeah.
So one, you got to make sure you know the business aspect of it. Get your girlfriend, baby mama, somebody to sit on that computer, download and create your accounts and keep them where you can find it. You are already your own marketing tool. The second downfall over and over again is when a new artist comes to me and I go to his page, I see him and his boys hanging out. I don't see nothing about I got to scroll through to find the music. Every morning you get up and brush your teeth, post a site that's streaming your music. So know the business aspect, promote yourself as an artist, and then anybody that does business with you, you should do business with them. I go to my cleaners, my doctor, everybody got to listen to my radio station. That's just, I came from the bottom. You know, I had
and
nobody.
Staying on the top.
Staying on the top. I mean, hey, my dentist like, yeah, listen. You might not listen long, but at least you're going to know about it. So everywhere you go, if you go to church with your mom, ask the church, can you sing at church? You know, promote your brand. Set up a stand outside at church. It don't take a lot of money. It's an artist in Indianapolis, and I'm just blown away about how he marketed himself. His name is Ramacide.
Me and you were thinking the same guy. I just told some people the other day, it's three artists that have really impressed me. Ramacide was one. I love the way he markets. I also like Dead Silence. I like 12. Damon Carl. And definitely Brian Thompson.
Right.
I think Brian Thompson is probably one of the most go-getters I've ever seen. I remember buying his CDs at an all-white party, and I was like, dude, you're going to be the baddest saxophonist of our generation.
And I tell all of them the same thing, but Ramacide took what I said and ran with it. You can't click on nowhere and don't see him. Even if his song is not the best song, you're going to at least know about it.
Yeah.
You know, as he gets gigs like that. He gets picked up. He's like, I can't believe how many people are picking me up. It's like you got to be out there. And then make a song that's compatible. The birthday song, everybody got a birthday.
Yeah.
You know, make a song. One girl made a song that had 14 words in it. I said, I'm never going to say that on the radio because I'm going to mess up. I'm never going to play it. I mean, I can't even, it won't even fit in the line. I said, girl, if you don't change the name of that song, you know, make it music that's universal. You know, Bruno Mars is hot, but he didn't reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
He just took music and the style and made it his own.
I say that same concept all the time. Quit trying to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
You can add some touch tire cleaner on it or something, but you don't need to reinvent it.
Right. It's like the songs, the remakes. You know, a lot of artists go out and make remakes, but they don't get a mechanical license. It goes
What is that?
Mechanical license that gives you the right to remake a song by another artist.
Is that hard for
Not
an
hard.
artist?
Back to the business. Get on the internet, apply for a mechanical license to remake a song. If you good and you smooth, you'll inbox that artist if they're alive or their family, and they'll give you the approval. You know, M. Toomey made the song Juicy Fruit. Biggie sampled it in his song. But they did it over a handshake. He said, hey, man, can I redo your song? They did it over a handshake.
Mm.
These are all friends of mine. It goes down like that. They did it over a handshake. He said, I want new people to know who I am. So by him redoing his song, it makes his legacy live on. Remake
And now that song is in my head.
Yeah.
Juicy Fruit.
Yeah, both versions. You should play them sometime. Yeah.
Now, you even brought game to my attention. And I'm one that I don't never claim to know everything. And if I don't know, I find out, or I put myself in a situation to go with people that know what they're doing.
Exactly.
You peep game to me by telling me something that I knew about, but you reinforced it. Mm-hmm. How important is it to have an entertainment lawyer, even though you're an artist?
Well, when you're an artist, to have an entertainment attorney is the main thing to save you with the contracts I'm trying to get with record labels and get with other monopolies that require legal contracts. It protects your brand completely. We were just talking about trademark and register your brand. You out here singing, making all this money, doing all of this stuff, and they could take your name tomorrow and make it theirs. It's money behind it. So you got to work. It goes back to the business.
It's hard to believe that when you say you got to go back to the business, they can take your stuff. Mm-hmm. It's hard to believe that we live in a world still to this day that greed is legal.
They could see you doing good with this whole network, and they can go and trademark your and you got to ask them, can you use it? When I went for Biggs Radio to get my trademark, they told me it was already taken and that I need to make up another name. I'm like, well, first of all, it's my daddy's name. We didn't make it up. Let's just be clear. Mm-hmm. The second thing, the person that they said had it was my brother. So
your brother already trademarked it?
But another version of it.
Okay.
So he had to write them a letter for me, but I could still use it because it's my daddy's name. How can I not use my daddy's name? So, I mean, it's just that simple. And even in terms of emails, the .coms, andrethebeast.com, you got to buy those. Yeah. You got to buy all of that because somebody out of spite will see you doing good and go and put a spin on what you got. If your name is 12, and 12 is one of my favorite rappers, I think he the coldest thing since Slice Ice, right out of Indianapolis. I got to get him with Common, but this dude is so cold. The name 12, it seems like it's just, but it needs to be trademarked and registered, and it's expensive. But if you've been in the game a long time and you got a lot of money into it, you don't want to lose that.
Right. What makes Biggs Radio so unique in its creation and its future?
Well, I think that, it's just so weird how it all happened. I worked at major radio stations all my life. During the pandemic, I started to do it, and I didn't know how. And I was talking to some friends, and they was like, well, I can help you. Another friend said, I can help you. So I said, okay, I'm going to hire all my friends. And what makes us unique is that we don't owe any money. We didn't take out any bank loans. My grandfather had passed and left me an inheritance. I loaned Biggs Radio the money to get started, and I made them pay me back. So Biggs Radio is debt-free. That's one thing. We're owned by ourselves. We don't owe anybody. We have 14 employees all across the country and in Germany. And it makes us unique is because we all love what we're doing. We're not in it to scam anybody. We're in it to get you a hit, basically, and have fun while we're doing it. So in saying that, we watch the numbers grow. We keep it real with people. We take your requests. We don't play the same things over and over. And we deal with national sponsors.
That's big.
National sponsors. I don't go to the mom and pops and hit them up for commercials because in most cases they struggling like I am. So what I do is I'll give the mom and pops the plugs for free. I have all my DJs talking up local businesses.
So you support the local businesses free of charge.
And the corporate people pay.
Yeah.
Cadillac, they give us cars. Ford give us cars from time to time. We're dealing with the Salvation Army. We was built on community service. We give away wheelchairs, electric scooters, just on our own platform. We stay in our own space. Everybody has a space, and that's great. It's enough room for everybody, but we just stay in what we can do for people. Most of my money, ironically, is made as being a professional host to the stars. I travel 26 weekends a year, hosting shows all over the country.
Wait a minute. Host to the Stars.
Yeah.
Do I get an invite to some of these galas?
Oh, I mean, it's just they call me and they fly me out to do it, and I'm the voice of Unsung. I'm on the latest episodes for 2024 is my voice. I'm in Vegas recording most of the time about groups that
Well, I
I
like
grew up with.
Unsung. Is that where they show the old groups and what happened to
Yeah,
them?
and the new ones, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm the voice of the woman's voice on mostly all of them.
Get out of here.
So, my mom was really afraid when I was in college and I was a DJ. I DJ'd at clubs, and she was like, "Oh, this girl throwing her life away." And she made me promise to finish school, which I did, graduated, got a master's degree. I finished school, but I always loved DJing. But for me, 50 years later, here we are, to have turned it into something that I just love doing. I still work a day job, but I love doing what I do on the side.
That's funny how you say you work a day job.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You got to have a basis.
What's your day job?
I'm a litigator for attorney Nathaniel Lee.
And we all know who Nathaniel Lee is. Trust me. He's all over. That's a brother that is marketed everywhere.
That's why I know I learned from the best.
Billboards.
I've been with him 15 years.
Really?
Yeah. Sid introduced me to the Indianapolis market. Sid, Uncle Jams, shout out to you. I had been living here. Nobody ever knew because I was going to Chicago, doing radio every weekend, out of town most of the time. When he brought me to Gino was like, "We don't want nobody from out of town."
Gino Shelton?
Yeah. Sid was like, "But she live here, man. Her license is here." And then he started using me for all his concerts, selling them out, all of the concerts. So now I kind of feel like I'm with y'all now. I'm on the home team. But I put my business here for a reason. My headquarters is here.
Why is it here?
It's here because this is my hometown. I've been here 24 years now. I might not be a native.
We're glad to have you here. Anytime we can pull talent from another region, hey, I'm proud to have you.
But
here.
I've been breaking music from people from here for years. The Rodney Steps, the June Walker. They used to drive to Gary, Indiana when I was on radio for me to break their records. It's just been something I've been doing. So now that I'm here, these guys are like, she ain't new, because we all been working together for years.
Why is it, before we wrap up, why is it so hard for Indiana to be a mainstream for entertainment, period? Not just music, but just in general. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm from Georgia. I get Black Hollywood.
Yeah.
But Indianapolis, I love my city.
Right.
317 all day long.
Right.
Why can't we catapult? We got great artists, we got great entertainment, we got everything. Why can't we get over that threshold?
It's just basically because, and I got that question a lot when I put my headquarters here, because there are 3 or 4 major media markets in the world. Chicago being one of them. New York, of course, California. Indianapolis doesn't have the infrastructure for a major media market. It just doesn't have it. It doesn't have a major record label here or anything that could support it catapulting into that industry. However, it does have the talent. And I'm trying to figure a way to box that up real neatly to make it become a music capital of the world. That's why my second station was in Chicago, because I had to have a major media market to support my radio brand. I had to have it. So then I went to Germany. I got 3 guys in Germany, so I'm able to internationally syndicate these artists. So I'm able to give them a bigger platform. And I work as a liaison to Pandora. My title is in the independent artist section. That's my job, is to scour independent music. So when artists come to me, they kind of hit a lick, so to speak, because I'm able to send my artists that I really think are good over to Pandora and get them right in. I'm able to do that. I'm able to send them to some of these legends that call me. Chris Jasper, always looking. MC Hammer's on my station every Monday night. What you got, Biggs? He comes on live. He's looking for new artists. So I've taken my expertise over the 50 years, and I'm able to share it with my artists right here in Indianapolis. I'm able to share it with them. I want them to do good.
Such a knowledge of information. You guys need to pay attention, but more importantly, Biggs, how can they reach out to you for more information on getting in contact with you, getting their music, and actually, more importantly, not just getting your music out there, individuals, but teach you how to elevate your brand and how to create generational wealth. And generational wealth isn't money, it's
Right.
knowledge. And knowledge kept hoard is useless. But the knowledge that she's giving you is priceless. How can the viewers reach out to you?
Well, they can call you.
Look, I'm
we're
gonna
gonna
let
be
you
working
handle.
together.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you handle the bulk of that because your knowledge is way more than mine.
But Biggs Radio is everywhere available. Anywhere you put it in, Google us, follow us anywhere. It's everywhere. Biggs Radio, Dinah Lynn Biggs. Yeah.
Before we wrap up, you definitely have made a difference to the world. From Chicago to Gary to making your home in beautiful Indianapolis, Indiana. You touched a lot of artists, past, present, and future. You've done so much that you clearly have that beast mindset intact. Leave the viewers with what keeps you going every day.
What motivates me is the perception of having humanity and being able to understand and know that God's work was worldwide and a hello is free, and trying to help somebody it's just a reaction. It's just a reaction.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Crayton Show.